Happy Migraine Awareness Month, everybody. We are talking about the treatment options that you have available. Now, there's a lot of excitement about the new CGRP antagonist medications. You'll hear us talking about them, Aimovig, Emgality, and Ajovy. Today, we're talking about Ajovy. And to help me, we have Jan and Belinda, who have both had good success with Ajovy. Thank you both for joining me. All right, Jan, tell us about yourself and your migraine.
Hi, my name is Jan and I live in Queensland, and I have migraine with aura, chronic migraine, and I've been on Ajovy since June last year.
That's a pretty good run.
Yes.
All right, we'll talk about the specifics in a sec. Belinda, tell us about yourself. Where are you, and tell us a bit about your migraine.
Hello, I am in Southeast Queensland, and I have chronic migraine with aura, which is great fun. And I have been on Ajovy since the end of December last year, with great success, thankfully.
Good. All right. So how did you both get onto Ajovy? Did you hear about it before a doctor told you about it? Perhaps, Belinda, if you go first.
Yes. So I've tried a multitude of different preventatives, none of which I've had success with. A lot of them had a lot worse side effects than what they did benefits, especially the Botox and things like that. And actually through Migraine Australia, I found out about Ajovy and those sort of things. And then my most recent trip to the neurologist, which was a different neurologist, had suggested it. And then we went forward from there. And it's been, very successful so far.
That's fantastic. So how many migraine attacks per month were you having beforehand?
Well, see, I record it differently. So I go by migraines, not migraine days. So it was always different. Yeah. So mine would last 3-4 days. So in my eyes, it was only a couple of migraines a month, but it turns out it was probably more about 13 to 15 days a month of migraine. And then I'd have a headache pretty much every other day. And then those wonderful silent migraines where you kind of don't know what's going on. Your body's just, so
for those not familiar with the term, a silent migraine is where you have all of the other neurological symptoms of migraine and no headache.
Yeah. So you don't know exactly. I didn't know it was a migraine because I didn't have the headache. That's how I normally would have determined it being a migraine, was that when it was there, I didn't necessarily associate the numbingness, the blurriness, the falling over and all that with the migraine. I just thought something else was going on, or I had a cold or something else. And I found out that was silent migraines.
Yeah, the first 10 years of my migraine kind of attacks were all silent. So it took me a while to get a diagnosis. So what about you, Jan? Did you hear about Ajovy first from the doctor or from us?
No, I heard it, researched it. I was researching it because I'd been on Botox for 5 years. And during that time, it wasn't working. It worked for me, but I was having some side effects from it. So I was desperate to find something else that would work better. And I heard about the CGRPs, and I started actually on Aimovig. So I was desperate to get onto Aimovig. I'd heard about it in America, that it had started in America, and I begged my neurologist to put me down for it as soon as it started. So, and by that time I had, through Migraine Australia, got all the information about when it was starting, when it might come through. So I got on the patient familiarisation program.
The PFP, yep.
Yeah, for that. So that was great. But that ended. I didn't actually get on the extended program. So I was on that for just over 12 months. And then when that ended, I chose Ajovy because I looked at it and it had less of side effects from what I could tell. Yeah.
So what were you like before Aimovig?
Before Aimovig, while I was on the Botox, I was still having as many migraines which was 20, migraine headache days in a month, which was 20 plus. But they weren't as severe. So, but I had that horrible, so they weren't debilitating, but they were just still
there,
chronic
all the time.
But I had a problem with bleeding from my kidney and kidney troubles, which the neuro kept saying wasn't a problem with the Botox, but as soon as I finished Botox, it stopped. Only started when I went on the Botox, finished when I went off.
Yeah, that's a side effect.
Yes.
Yeah, like
he finally put it down as a side effect, listed it with the company about a year before I finished
it's so hard to get some neuros to accept what you're reporting as a side effect. So I had a really horrible time on Botox. Like, oh my God, bad. I was in and out of hospital and really, really unwell for 5 months. And it still wasn't reported as an adverse event until I told the Standing Committee on Health, like the Federal Parliament's Committee on Health, that I'd had a really bad experience to Botox. And I got an email from the drug company going, can you fill in this adverse events report? Because we need to report that.
Yes. I mean, I said to my neurologist that every time after it, I felt like I was fluey, that I felt sick. And he said, no, it had nothing to do with Botox. And I kept saying to him, but then apparently they put it on.
Yeah, well, good. Anyway, all right. So you went on Aimovig. What happened?
Aimovig, much better, easier to administer, much better. Had terrible trouble with spasms in the gut and constipation, which everybody seems to have a problem with.
Except me.
Except you. But dealt with that. I've, worked out a regime for that. So that was sorted. And it was much better. I had a lot more clearer head days. The clear head days in between migraine attacks were fantastic. It was just like a breath of fresh air compared to Botox, and was scared
to go off it.
Yeah, I was nearly going to say something else there. And I was really scared to go off it, but then I was offered a Get Started program on Ajovy, and which was still quite expensive, but I started on that. So
how's Ajovy going?
Ajovy is the same as Aimovig. I'm having the same results.
Oh, that's great.
Aimovig, and no side effects, none of those gut problems as I had with Aimovig. So I'm really happy with it, but obviously, I might have to switch to Emgality if Emgality
gets on the PBS and Ajovy doesn't.
Yes, because I'm really struggling financially.
Yeah, it is really tough. Belinda, how are you going with the cost of Ajovy?
It's hopefully they do something about that sooner rather than later, because it is a lot of money. I'm glad that on the Momentum program it is 280.
Yeah, 287 instead of kind of 850 is a pretty big discount. Yeah. So
something needs to be done about that.
We keep begging and asking and pleading and yelling at people, and it doesn't seem to get far, but I can assure you that Greg Hunt knows we want it.
I've paid out $3,000 so far, and it's just adding up.
But it's worth it though. I gotta admit, like, it's at the end of the day to have your head clear and to not be in that much pain anymore. It seems like it's so much worth it that to try to find that money if you can. It'd be amazing to have them.
But it's definitely. It's unfair that we have to make that choice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really unfair. And it's really unfair to those who physically can't find it. The idea that healthcare is only for the wealthy is supposed to be, something that happens in other countries. We're supposed to have universal healthcare, and I think it has been a very rude shock, certainly to me, right? And I think I'm pretty politically savvy, but it was a really big shock to me that, you know, if you have a common condition, I'm sorry, universal healthcare isn't for you. You know, the idea that we would be denied these drugs because there's too many of us, I think is just something that grates against my soul. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Can you say that again?
I think it's an ideology of this government, and I don't know that it would be the same if it was maybe another government.
I think the problem is deeper, and it's stigma deep inside the Department of Health and the medical profession generally, that migraine is not something serious. Migraine is not something worth paying for. But I don't understand, you know, like, and I've grown up in a blue ribbon Liberal family, right? My last name is Crosby. Yes, I am related to Linton Crosby, who used to run the Liberal Party. For those watching, he's my father's second cousin. He is not my father. But I know exactly how Liberals think, and I am dumbfounded to this day that they would not want to spend $264 a month to get literally hundreds of thousands of mostly working age women off welfare and back to work. That dumbfounds me on a daily basis. And it has, you know, we've been fighting this for 2 years.
I know the difference it's made to my life. If I was 20 years younger, that would have kept me in a job.
Yeah.
And I've been on disability support for so many years, and it's just wrong that younger women that I see in our support groups are struggling because they can't get access to these drugs.
Yeah.
Fair.
And we've seen, you know, I mean, if you spend any quality time in the Migraine Australia chat group, the stories are the same over and over again. I can't afford this. You know, we're having to choose between our mortgage and you know, this medication, and then my husband's starting to resent me, and you know, these really quite horrible social problems that result from this drug being available but not being affordable and accessible actually creates a problem. Like, it creates stresses and burdens, and even the community as a whole has really struggled with this constant, you can have it soon. No, not now. You can have it soon. No, not now. No, wait a bit longer. We just need to do, the process is going well. Just wait a bit longer. This is 2 years they've been stringing us out. That is a long time to be sitting on the precipice, to be trying to make a decision about whether or not you can afford it this month or not, or whether you have to bite the bullet and give it up. I gave it up for 10 weeks. It was horrible.
I'm sort of thinking, go back to Botox and suffer the consequences. And that's just horrible that they're making you live in a second-class health system.
Yeah. You know, like, if we had cancer, we would have everything provided for us. Everything would be free. Everything would be covered. And we don't. We have migraine. It's pretty easy to manage, right, with these drugs. Before that, it was a nightmare to manage. But, you know, for me, I've been able to get off 6 different drugs and replace it with just Aimovig. That in and of itself is a massive saving to the health system. Not to mention the fact that I'm not in emergency every 6 weeks. I'm not seeing my GP every 2 weeks. I'm not seeing my neuro every 3 months. So I don't get it. And I really don't.
Not on opioids.
Yeah. I used to chew at least 2 packets of tramadol a month. Easy. Yes. My tramadol intake now is 0. Absolutely 0. So, you know, it's really frustrating. And there's so many people in the groups who have talked about the difficulty. Even getting codeine is really, really hard to get now with all of the rule changes. And the stupidity of it is, if you want us to stop taking the opioids, then give us the CGRPs. It's, you know, for most of it,
the one that works.
Yeah. You know, can we please have the drug that works, that was actually made for us, rather than the symptom drug?
Yes.
You know,
yep.
There's like,
I recognize it doesn't work for everybody, but for those that do, them, you know, or
look, it doesn't work for everybody, but the different drugs work for different people. Yes. So some people will work really well on Aimovig, and some will work really well on Emgality, and not vice versa, and so on. And there's also a preference too. So I was going to ask you guys about Ajovy, because Ajovy is a syringe rather than the pen. So how do you guys go with the syringe? Are you okay with it, Jan?
I have no problem. It doesn't hurt.
Doesn't freak you out?
it doesn't freak me out. Like I had to sort of, to take a little bit of gumption in the first time. I have given syringes before. I had to give my mother syringes years ago when she had cancer, but so I've done it before, but giving it to yourself is another thing. But it doesn't hurt. It's simple. No different to the auto injector, really.
And what about you, Belinda? You were fine with a syringe, or you?
Oh yeah, no, I've got to remember, keep my eyes open, got to watch, don't. Yep. Apart from that, no, it's all right. I've never used the pen version. I've only had the syringe, but it is what it is. It's easier for me to do it than try to get to a doctor. He showed me the first time, and I just do it myself, and have no issues. Yeah,
there is a pen version of Ajovy available in the US. It's not here. We only have the syringe so far. But yeah, it does seem to be a personal preference. Some people prefer the syringe. They think it doesn't hurt as much. So it's interesting. And certainly I would probably be chicken giving myself a syringe. I'm okay with the pen. But sticking a needle into my skin is not, like actually looking at it is just a bit weird.
Oh yeah. The first time, like, what? But you get used to it.
Yeah, the first
and the
time
kids are dumbfounded by
it. Do they watch? Do they?
Yeah, they're like, wow. Yeah, you're sticking this thing in you. Yeah.
All righty. We'll wrap it up. Belinda, what is your tip for anybody that's thinking about trying Ajovy?
Well, it's worth a shot because I have tried everything. Anything that the doctors and I could think of, we have tried, to the point where my GP is he'd run out of ideas. So we finally found something that is working. I have very, very few migraine days, and now I don't even really class them as migraine because there's barely any actual pain with it. They're kind of more silent migraines than anything. And it is worth it if you can afford it. And hopefully if we keep on to those politicians, hopefully we can get that through and get on the PBS sooner rather than later.
That would be a really good thing. What about you, Jan? Your advice?
Yes, try it. I either one of the three, but for me the Ajovy was really good because similar to Aimovig, doesn't have the side effect that the Aimovig had for me, and like I would be desperate for it to go on the PBS for that reason, but I'll deal with any other side effects if I have to. But the it doesn't have, I would say to anybody else on Botox if they have the time that it takes for Botox to work and then the time that it wears off, the CGRPs don't have that. They work quicker and they don't wear off as fast. So you've got more coverage. So I find that they're much better.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Jan and Belinda, thank you so much and have a happy Migraine Awareness Month.
Yeah, thank you.